Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. Yes, it's the Monday night chats. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the morning show. I enjoyed it. Forget about you guys, but I enjoyed it. That's the most important thing. No, I'm joking. And there's a couple of pre-recorded stuff in between, the morning show, afternoon, and like right here and right now. We've got a couple of familiar faces coming back here. We're hoping again that the Godfather might come back in the live show sometime later on. Listen, we've got to allow him that. He's the Godfather. If he arrives late, he's got every right to arrive late. He's doing an Uber. But anyway, guys, welcome on this one. We'll see you on the other side of this music intro. Yes, welcome back on this one. Yeah, welcome back Monday night chats, Monday afternoon chats, I'd say. I've got two of my good friends back, and Des, the channel favourite. I've been toppled from my position. I'm no longer the favourite. I've been relegated, Des.
Not at all, Alex. I'm just something fresh, maybe something a bit new. They'll get bored of me soon.
Nah, they won't. Yeah, I'll be put out to pastures new. But anyway,
Never.
guys,
That'll never happen. Never happen. That'd be silly.
You're too kind. You're too kind. Yeah, guys, make sure you subscribe on this one. Hit the bell notification button so you can receive all the latest news right here. James, it's been a while. How are you, young fellow?
I'm well, thank you. Great to speak to you again, and to speak to Des as well for the first time, because I know we've spoken on the Cannon Fodder WhatsApp group chat, which has been nice. So yeah, football interviews keeping me busy. A particular busy Friday coming up, but really excited about what's coming up and football stories from around the globe with players and managers. So onwards and upwards, as they say.
Brilliant. So let's get off and up and running with this one. Mark Lawrence has reported this morning. He described Willian as being distinctly average, and he must be in a lot of money as well. James, we've spoken about these players. One thing I actually forgot to speak about this morning, Des, was about Cedric Suarez, who was we're giving him like a 4-year deal, I believe, 3-4 years.
Right.
But yet he's not our number one right back. We've still got Hector.
I don't get that. Well, regarding William for a second, average. What's average? Average is a B plus, isn't it? Is it?
Yes.
Or is it a C? Because
is it not C plus? I think.
Is it a C plus?
Anyway.
Well, you're a teacher. I mean, end of the day, you will know. Okay, then we'll say C plus. Well, I'm sorry. I think, as I said the other day, I think Willian's in the Greek alphabet. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't even think he's been average. I just think he's turned up to get a wage. And Cedric, I really like Cedric. I must admit, I think he's a good defender. I think he can play both sides. I genuinely think also yesterday Arteta was trying something new, putting Xhaka back there. Maybe he'd be a better defender than he would a midfielder. You never know. So that's something to think about. But I've got to say, I think the worst player that's been on the pitch for maybe the last 2-3 games is Ceballos. I think he's been absolutely diabolical. He hasn't got a football brain. He should be going back to. Well, actually, I'll pay for his playing. I'll pay for his flight. He should be going back to Real Madrid because he's not good enough for Arsenal.
It's a shame. It's a shame because I remember seeing his first game for Arsenal at the Emirates, and I thought, wow, the guy looks like a quality player. And like there was some talk about his attitude, and he's dropped for a couple of games, and then he helped us win the FA Cup. But like he's been like on a wave, isn't it? It's like talk about peaks and troughs. But
it's interesting. I was reading some some of the ex-pros talking about Ceballos and his performance last night, and a lot of them were saying because we played him, if you like, as a number 8, so he was much closer to that sort of zone 14. He all those little flicks and that all these quick twitch muscles, as it were, actually made him look a decent number 8. What he isn't a Ramsey that will come from deep and carry the ball, but he's got that which they use in Europe a lot, don't they? They have a slow build up, and then once you get into that final third, suddenly it's fast, it's quick, it's all the twitch muscles. And of course, it was him that was at the heart of the first goal last night. So, yeah, I mean, I've looked at Ceballos at the start, and he looked quite good when he came. And then he seemed to suffer a massive dip in form. And he certainly doesn't look like a ball carrier. But like a lot of continental players, he's got that little bit of fast magic in that final third. Now, I suspect Arteta won't keep him. But, you know, there's going to be a lot of ins and outs, I reckon, as soon as the season's over. People are raving about Mari. I think we got Mari for 7 million. And what we need is Edu to pull out a few more like that. We've got a raid, as James will know well. The European market is full of really good players. And other teams like Leicester can seem to be able to find these people. You and I wouldn't necessarily know them unless you followed the European game well. But I'm sure there are some hidden diamonds out there. And that's really on our shoestring budget. That's what Arsenal have to start looking for. And Leicester have been a perfect example of how you can find rough diamonds and you know, with good training and good tutelage, they can do very well.
Yeah. I'm more thinking we've got rough diamonds in the academy, but we won't go there. James.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting summer. I don't think that Arsenal have got as much money as what people think we've got, and I think we're going to have to sell before we do anything. And I worry for the futures of Daniel Ballard and Mark McGuinness, because you've got to think about, you know, that they've been with us for such a long time, and you can't just dispose of these players. These players have been educated by Arsenal. These players have been looked after by Arsenal, and it reminds me of my interview that I did with Charlie Gilmore, who left Arsenal and went on loan, signed for Norwich and went on loan here in the Netherlands to Telstar IJmuiden. And he was saying that, you know, when you come through the academy at Arsenal, you know, you're given the best coaches, you're given the best facilities. And when you leave the club, you automatically think that they're queuing up for your services, but they don't necessarily want to take a chance on a young boy in a man's game. But we've got a lot of work to do in the summer. And I hope we have the bottle to make what is seen as unpopular decisions. I don't want our fan base, although I fear that they will, dictating the name, dictating the reputation, dictating the price tag, because in real world football, it doesn't work like that. And the flip side of that coin is, if you're a young footballer coveted by Arsenal this summer, whether you play for Benfica, whether you play for Real Betis, whether you play for Ajax here in the Netherlands, what is to stop you saying to the club, what guarantees can you give me that I won't end up like William Saliba, where deemed not good enough for the under-23s, but yet returns to France in a good Nice side. Nice are a very good team. And he's doing wonders at Nice. And one thing that our fan base has got to remember, and they all seem to forget it, maybe it's because they don't know, but when you're a young player that moves abroad for the first time, most of them are learning life skills. They're learning how to look after themselves. They're learning how to cook and to clean and to stand on their own 2 feet. And the club becomes your family. And I've spoken to many players at all different levels where a transfer has broken their career and made their career. And Arsenal fans have a habit of, Odegaard plays 2 games, oh, we've got to sign him at all costs. But yet when Odegaard was here in the Netherlands playing for Heerenveen and playing for Vitesse, you didn't hear people saying those things. Our fan base, particularly the younger generation, appeared to be very reactionary. And I just hope that we've got the bottle and the resolve to make what could be seen as unpopular decisions. You know, we've got to trim that squad. We've got to get the best youth prospects, get them into the first team squad, give them a pathway to the first team. and start to build again, because you know, this season I think we'll see our last European campaign for some time, and the next time we're in Europe, it will be completely different to what it is now. I mean, you've seen the Champions League, plans that they have, and I'm hoping, but it's just a personal thing from my point of view, that next time we're in Europe, after this season, that it's a new Arsenal, new owner, new ethos, new attitude, but still a long way to go, I believe.
Before I go to Des, James, next season is going to be a watershed moment for Arsenal. We won't be seeing any European action. By default, don't you think maybe the main headline players would want to leave Arsenal rather than staying and trying to get us back into Europe for the following season?
I think they'll stay for their wages, because no other club is going to pay them 400 grand a week to turn in performances where you turn up late for the biggest game of the season. No other club is going to play a player who, before he played for Atletico Madrid, played for Real Mallorca, and although he's a very physical specimen, Atletico Madrid are still top in La Liga. They've still had a very good season, and this is all without Thomas Partey. And Arsenal signed Thomas Partey to the tune of £260,000 a week. And these wages are not sustainable long term. But one of the things I fear the most is, particularly the younger generation, we're all Arsenal fans with a lot of experience in this podcast tonight. We can all give you footballing reasons as to the reasons why we love the players we do. Special goals, special matches, the footballing ability that they had. I worry that the players that will leave, that we know have done enough, will still be eulogised by fans to the tune that Mesut Ozil is. You know, this is an Arsenal football club that at some point in time would never offer more than a 1-year deal to a 30-year-old. But your career isn't over when you finish 30. If anything, it can have like an Indian summer. And then all of a sudden, fast forward a couple of years, and we're paying £8 million for a player to leave. And Ozil was, I've heard from a Turkish colleague of mine, Ozil was not earning any money at Fenerbahce. He's not earning a wage at Fenerbahce. So the money that Arsenal gave to him, that's literally, he's playing for Fenerbahce for free. You know, and these are the things that you don't always hear about. And we've made a rod for our own back, and we've got to start to learn very, very quickly.
Des, are you comfortable there, mate?
Oh, mate. I'm that laid back. I'm horizontal. Good evening, Eltel. Nice to see you, my friend. Really enjoyed this.
I see you.
Say again?
I see you've taken on the name the Enforcer there.
Oh yes, that's going to stick for good now, mate. The Godfather has given me the name; it's staying. Yeah, I mean, James, you make some real good points there. I've got to say, really good points. Oh dear, this club. If you didn't laugh, you'd cry. I think our new tunes coming out to each match is going to be the Okie Kokie, because it ins and outs and shaking it all about. You know what I mean? It's going to be, yeah. We have. The truth of the matter is, it's like you said in the last transfer window. The wage bill has to be drastically reduced. Okay. I know I want to keep Odegaard, and I know if we don't, I'm going to get very cold and very wet. I know that, but that's all part of the fun. I know there's no option to buy. I know all that sort of stuff, and I know it was frustrating you guys when everybody in the chat was saying, "Oh, we've got to keep Odegaard no matter what." I totally understand, but the thing is, we do need players as much as we need to get rid of players as well. So I can only ask you guys, because you're more experienced at this, how do we get the right balance so that Arsenal can get back to how it was? And I know, because Alex has said this as well, and I totally agree, clubs have peak times and they have lull times. I mean, it's happened to Man United, hasn't it? I mean, there was one point where Man United won the league nearly every season. Do you know what I mean? We've had it with Chelsea. We're having it at the moment with Man City. But Arsenal never seem to go away, do they? We've never been relegated from the Premier League. I don't even think we were relegated from the first, when it was the the one before the Premier League, were we? So we're like the thorn that sticks in people's sides, really, regarding other teams. But how, guys, do we find that balance where we get rid of someone, but we also bring someone in where we're not losing out? Because that's what I think about Arsenal at the moment. I think we said it this morning, didn't we, Tell? Arsenal are losing out because we're giving our players away for free, basically.
Mm.
So how do you work that out so it's balanced? I don't know.
Well, Guardiola has famously been quoted as saying that unless your players are the equivalent in terms of skill and ability of the opposition, tactics don't come into it. So in other words, if you've got a better bunch of players, they will probably go out and win the game anyway. Now, how do you create a team that is better than Guardiola's team? Money. And we haven't got money. So the only other way is the Leicester model, and that is to promote from within, which we can do. And at the moment, we've got some cracking players coming through and some very, very successful buying for quite low prices. And if we start, Partey is a perfect example now. We've spent an enormous amount of money. Apparently, Arteta had to go cap in hand to Stanley Kroenke, and Kroenke often got a loan from the bank, even though he's a multi-billionaire. So he wasn't going to use his money. And we've gone and saddled ourselves with a good player, but he's now getting an enormous sum of money. So we keep going round the same circle all the time, spending big money and maybe being a little bit disappointed in the player that turns up. So the way we've done this in the past, and we did it under George Graham, was to promote the youth players and to make some very select buys. Now, George Graham, of course, knew the second and third divisions very well. Lee Dixon had been playing at Bury, I think it was, and he'd been the player of the season at Bury for two years running. And so he picked him up for a small amount of money. Winterburn had been player of the season at Wimbledon. And so that there are bargains to be had. But it's only by doing that we are going to get there. And in the end, we spoke about this morning, attitude still matters. You can still have a man for man, very good team with very good tactics. But if they're incredibly rich and don't really care, then, how are you going to get extra 20% out of them? And I think we've definitely suffered from that. And I'm singing from James' hymn sheet here. At the top, we've got a man who doesn't know the value of anything except dollars, and unfortunately, he's not going to be interested in us winning silverware. He said it himself. You don't buy into the English Premier League to win silverware. So I'm afraid until Kroenke goes, and that will be an interesting day if it ever happens, then we are condemned. Let's talk about an ancient Greek here, a guy called Sisyphus, who upset the gods, and they forced him to push a boulder up a mountain.
Yeah.
And when he got to the top, he ran out of energy, and it went all the way down to the bottom again. And poor old Sisyphus had to start the same thing again the following morning. And that's what it feels like we're doing. We're going up the mountain, getting our hopes up, buying this player, promoting from within. Then it all goes wrong. Somebody says, do you know what? The magic wand is get rid of Emery. So they get rid of Emery. And there's Arteta with this big boulder trying to get it up the mountain. And he starts to do well, and he gets it near the top, and it flattens him again, which it could do. I hope it doesn't, but it could do on Thursday night. And then some bright spark says, let's get somebody else in. So another manager comes in, and we go round and round and round. So it's got to start from the top. Somehow we've got to find a way of getting people involved in the club at very high level who are passionate about Arsenal winning and not passionate about their bank accounts. And that, at the moment, our directors are doing an abysmal job. absolutely abysmal. They're holding nobody to account. They didn't hold ROWE to account, and suddenly ROWE's gone. So why are they there? If they're not watching the bank balance and Arsenal's purse, and they're not doing, what are they doing there? You know, we've got a bunch of lads there who are not doing their job and doing due diligence. So let's get modern. Let's get in maybe I often think a syndicate of rich people coming in that are Arsenal fans, including Dangote, but spread the sort of load a bit and allow fans to have some fan share as well. You know, give fans a share in Arsenal for £1,000, or I know Arsenal Supporters Club did a fan share scheme where if you could only put in a tenner or 50 or 100 quid, then you could buy a part of a share. Let's get the fans back involved again. For, you know, let's start with the guys that actually own the club, not the ones that want to sell for a massive profit. Get it right up top, and then it will filter down.
But we're talking about the here and now. Dangote or whoever wants to buy Arsenal is not going to happen anytime soon. So what is the solution for the mire that we are in right now? It's supposed to be a self-sustaining model. So whatever assets we have at Arsenal, we have to get rid of those players there to generate some income.
Well, listen,
know that Stan Kroenke has given us money, but it's supposed to be a self-sustaining model, James, which is not working. Dangote is not coming anytime soon, James. I know you said on many occasions that the owner doesn't care. You know, until that happens, we're not going to see a change in culture at Arsenal. But what about the here and now, James? What are we going to do now? What are we going to do now?
Well, the short term is we've got to improve on this season. That's the short term. And we've got to be smarter in the transfer window. We've got some very good youth players that we've got to give an opportunity. And, you know, people seem to think that it can't get any worse. It can get worse. People seem to think that this is just a one-off, losing 12 games, 12 Premier League games in a season. It could get a hell of a lot worse. And the first step to realising that is to actually admit that it can. Because we're just slowly, the standards that we had, the Arsenal way of doing things, they are also slowly slipping away. And also, as an owner, Terry points out that that Arteta went cap in hand to Kroenke about Partey. Do you think Stan Kroenke knew who Thomas Partey was? But if we had a football man there that says, well, hang on a minute, he's not worth £45 million, and before he played for Atletico, he was playing for Real Mallorca. And the same with Gabriel. Gabriel has had an all right season, but I maintain if Daniel Ballard was playing in that position or Mark McGuinness was playing in that position, they would be just as good. I maintain that. Gabriel, 1 minute you're playing for Troyes in France, the next minute you're playing for Dynamo Zagreb, and the next minute you're playing for Arsenal. And we just seem to be latching onto what fans, he's worth £45 million, so he must be amazing. As I said on the last podcast I did, I've been told by an Arsenal fan that Reece Nelson is better than Mark Albrighton. Reece Nelson has no career. Mark Albrighton is a Premier League winner. Mark Albrighton was as important to Leicester in that Premier League winning season as Riyad Mahrez and Jamie Vardy. If you look at those balls over the top, they didn't just fall out of the sky. They were pinpoint passes. But yet Arsenal fans will tell you Reece Nelson is already better than Mark Albrighton. Reece Nelson has no career. He's standing still. He's not getting better. He's not getting worse. He's not going anywhere. But therein lies the fact that our fans seem to big our players up so much that, you know, in the real world of football where, you know, players can be marginalised, a new manager comes in, transfer talk, that kind of thing. We also have part of the fan base who won't entertain the notion of signing certain players because there's no resale value. We haven't won a league title for 7 years, but there's no resale value if we go for this particular player. The biggest clubs in the world, they don't look at resale value. Kevin De Bruyne has just signed a contract extension with Manchester City. Do you think they're looking at resale value? Ruben Diaz, I've known about him since he was playing for Braga. and obviously he signed for Benfica and subsequently signed for Manchester City. Do you think City are looking at resale value for Ruben Diaz? He's one of the best defenders in the league. But we just seem to have a fan base that don't really understand the ins and outs of it, particularly the younger generation, because they've never seen Arsenal win the league, and they certainly haven't seen Arsenal win in Europe. And you know what's really starting to annoy me is how the younger generation of Arsenal fans disparage and kind of do away with the memories that we have. You know, we talk about certain players that we love. Oh, they weren't that good. How do you know they weren't that good? You've never seen them play. But this is the fractures that are happening within the fan base. And I agree with Des. I do believe that this will get a lot worse. And the first step to accepting that is actually admitting that it can and probably will happen. This time next year, I remember being on Cannon Fodder this time last year. And I remember making the point that this season will be like last season. I remember saying that, and I've literally been proved right. I'm not an oracle, but when you've been around the block for such a long time and deal with speaking to players and managers, and you've seen a lot for your lot, you know what's coming. And next season will be the same as this season. And it's the hope and being bigged up to something that we're not. First and foremost, we've got to admit what we are. And that is a team who, in my opinion, are going out of Europe on Thursday night and will probably end up just about top 10.
Des, how much worse can it get?
Well, let's be honest. I mean, right, first of all, Stan Kroenke's that tight, right, that if you was to take a piece of coal and stick it up a very tight orifice, you would have a diamond in a week. Do you know what I mean? He wants to spend pennies, but he wants champagne dinners. Do you know? And like James has said, very, very true. We've got no structure, have we, in buying players or selling players? We don't seem to have a structure or a handbook, to simplify it, a handbook saying, right, you've bought this player, this is what you do with him. Okay, we've got a lot of bad apples in the cart at the moment, and we also had it earlier this year when we were lucky, I think, to get rid of as many players as we did in the last transfer window. But we've still got the bad apples in the barrel, and those bad apples will stay for as long as they possibly can. Yeah. Now, the question I've got to you guys is, and possibly the chat, and James would know more about this because of his journalism, if we have to bring players in, let's say it's for bargains, James and Tell, what leagues do we look at? Do we look at the African League? Do we look at the Dutch League? Do we look at the Japanese, the Americans? For bargains, where do we go? Because you're not going to get bargains in the Premier League. Okay, because people don't want to swap players because they're helping you out, if you know what I mean. And if you go into the lower leagues, I mean, I think Ivan Toney from Brentford would be a good player for us. He scored 29 goals for Brentford this season. Yeah, I think he would fit into the Arsenal system, but we're not going for him because he plays at Brentford. It's probably something as simple as because he plays at Brentford. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, guys, hopefully you can answer my question. What leagues do we look at to bring the bargains in? Because I agree with you guys. We need bargains. Basuma, I don't care if Basuma comes or not. I really don't. I know that might sound a bit weird, but I don't care if Basuma comes or not because we've never had him. So if we never get him, we're not going to know what he's like. Do you know what I mean? I've got that sort of way of thinking about it. It's paper talk. Paper talk. This is no disrespect to you, James, because I know you're a journalist, but paper talk is the worst. It gets all the Arsenal fans going, yeah. Say again, mate. Say again. What did you say, James?
I said I don't write for any papers.
No, I know you don't
write for any papers.
No, I know, but I know, what I'm saying is that the papers fill all these young.
I understand where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from.
The papers fill all these young fans with all this. Oh, we could get Aguero, and we could get this, and they get a bit excited, And then when it doesn't happen, oh, well, Arsenal's rubbish, isn't it? You know, there's so many turncoat fans at Arsenal who, like, we've been through the thick and the thin. Yeah. 30 years plus with James, 200 years with the Godfather. Alex is at
1 year for me.
okay, mate. All right. I'm at 40 plus years. You know what I mean? But yeah, attitude. It's that word again. It's coming down to attitude, but also attitude from the fans. And I'm sorry, you have to say it. It's not all about the team. The fans have to put their hands up. If I say something wrong, I put my hand up because I'm guilty of it, you know? But I'm here to learn as much as I am here to share my points. But I say this, there are fans in every club, it's not just Arsenal, that they haven't got any patience. They want everything now. It's that everything now mentality. And that is what's got these guys have said many points that are true, but the point I wanted to make it worse, the fans have to be behind the team. And let's be honest, I couldn't give you a percentage, but a lot of our fan base are not behind the team. But they just want the results.
Yes. Do you think the club listens to the fan base? Do you think they listen to the fans?
Not as much as they should do. Not as much. If I had to answer that question, that's what I'd say. Not as much as they should do. I mean, listen to the things that Tell says. I mean, I've listened to Tell for months now. It comes down to common sense, and Tell has got a lot of common sense. James has got a lot. We've all got common sense, yeah. But even if you look in your chat as an example, Alex, right? Yeah, it's like what you said, you can make someone happy, but you're upsetting somebody else. But that's what the Arsenal Football Club are doing to the fan base as well. They're making someone happy, but they're annoying somebody else. Do you know what I mean? And they've got to get out of this thing. We've got to focus on the club. Focus on the club, and the fans need to do what they're good at, because the fans' talent is supporting Arsenal Football Club. Yeah. And we do need a structure at the club where it helps the club out with buying, selling players, and make it a happier place to go. And as I've said, one of the biggest things this season is, and I don't know what you guys think, but since Christmas, I haven't really enjoyed watching Arsenal play.
Yeah.
I've wanted them to win, don't get me wrong, but I haven't enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And there are seasons where I've absolutely loved it.
I've go in a minute, but one thing I would say is Arsenal have really struggled in recent seasons to bridge the gap between the boardroom and the fans. And one solution would be that the fans are allowed to elect one director, okay? And you can put forward various names, or people like David O'Leary, ex-players, Robert Perez could put themselves up. Maybe people who've had experience management and dealing with that side of the game, because at the moment I get the feeling they're either not listening to the fans, or they're panicking when the fans say it's all going wrong, and they keep doing these sudden, oh yes, we're going to buy a fantastic player, and then we spend a fortune on a player who lets us down. And so we're kind of lurching from, the fans are unhappy, the club completely ignores them, and then suddenly they go and spend a load of money, it all goes wrong, and you're back in the same cycle again. And we need to get something going where the fans have a voice in the club. Now, Arsenal have never done this before, but we were the first club to have floodlights, the first club to have numbers on our back. Let's be one of the first clubs. There are some, Wimbledon, AFC Wimbledon do it, where the fans have a massive say in what's going on. And then instead of wanting knee-jerk reactions all the time, we build and we have a plan. We publish the plan. Doesn't have to be secret. We hear Arteta saying there's a process. Well, without giving the game away, tell us what the process is, and hopefully he's got maybe a 4 or 5 year plan on how we're going to sort of do these things. Publish the plan and get somebody who can speak the fans' language, somebody well known that speaks for the fans, or a group of people, you know, that are maybe from the local area, so they've followed the club for 30, 40 years, they know how it ticks, and get them to be a buffer or a kind of a conduit, really, between the club and the stuffy boardroom and the fans who are paying good money when we don't have a pandemic to actually trot down to Arsenal on a bitterly cold afternoon and watch them either lose or get a 0-0 draw. So let's be first to have that link, and let us know what your plan is, and give us a chance to point at teams like Leicester and say, why can't we have a model that is akin to what Leicester are doing, and so on. Lads, I'm really sorry. I have to rush. My daughter's off to uni tomorrow, and I've got to get all the stuff ready for her. But I love you and leave you. Thanks, guys.
So take care.
See you later, Tel. See you later.
Cheers.
Take care.
Can I just say something, Alex? Can I say something? Right. I love this club to bits, and I want it to succeed. But I've got to the point now that if things have to slow down, you know, and we have to reassess and restart the engine, I'm all for it. Because the long-term picture is better than the short term, you know. And as we've said, attitude is a big thing. But I am worried that this may not happen, but I'm worried that someone's going to come in at the summer, right, and say, oh, we'll give you 100 million for Saka or 125 million for Saka, yeah? And Kroenke's going to go, sell the boy. I don't want it to happen. I'm not saying it will happen, but money talks and the old stuff walks, doesn't it? You know what I mean? So that's the problem we might have with Saka as well. Someone might come in and offer an absolute ludicrous price, and then Kroenke will say, yeah, take the boy. We need an owner who comes and watches the games, who is interested in what goes on at Arsenal as much as we are. And that's my main worry this summer. He sells Saka for an exorbitant amount of money, and then we're back to square one and probably worse.
James, do you want to comment on this before I go into the live chat, James?
Well, I think Des makes some great points, and I also wanted to elaborate on that by Saka's own personal ambition. He's going to want to win things, and not just FA Cups. He's going to want to win league titles. He's going to want to make an impression in Europe. You know, this is a man who's been getting man of the match performances at international level. You know, he's good enough to play abroad already. So you're looking at his own personal ambition. But I actually think that this is a slow burner. People are going to call me crazy, but we are literally on a slow burn right the way down to something which has never happened before. And people might call me mad as a box of frogs, but we are literally on a slow burner where we have an owner who has lots of fingers in lots of pies. Arsenal is not his priority. LA Rams, LA Clippers, Colorado Rapids, and then Arsenal. Like you said, Alec, Kroenke said you don't buy an English football club to win silverware. Well, if that is the predicament we are in, you can trust 1 million processes. You can support 1 million managers. You can buy 1 million players. But if your owner has said that, then that is your starter for 10. But I personally think, you know, we're on a slow burner now where, you know, this time next year be the same as what we had this year, maybe even a lower league position. But, you know, this isn't a fly-by-night bad couple of seasons. This is Arsenal life under Stan Kroenke.
Good. Let me go to live chat and see who has joined us on this one. Got Russ Morgan says, evening chaps, and good evening to you as well, Russ. Always great to see James. Nice one for that, Russ. DS says, big up, Alex.
Hello, Russ. Good
And
to see you too. Thanks for joining us.
Arsenal Alex says, evening, everyone. And even to you as well, Alex.
Evening, guys.
He's doing a little bit of moderating, telling everyone to hit the like button. Thank you for that. But we're not paying you. We're not paying you. Leon says, hello, is Wenger coming back, or have I just got into the parallel universe? Des, is he coming back?
He's in another dimension, not the parallel universe. No, as far as I know, he's not. Is he? Is he coming back?
I've not heard anything. I've not seen anything.
He gives advice from very far away, but I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah.
You know,
a different galaxy, far away.
He's trying to sort out the offside rule, isn't he? Or change it. You know,
a lot of work to do.
Oh, hell yeah.
David Trow, one of our moderators. Welcome back, David. It's been a long while, actually. I hope you're well. Good evening, gentlemen. I hope you're all well. Ceballos, for me, played well last season, but only for wanting a callback to Madrid. This never happened for him, so you can see his game has dropped. I could be wrong, but I really feel Ceballos was trying to show Madrid of the player that he is by showing his passion at Arsenal. They didn't buy it. They didn't buy it. Yeah. David Felton, good evening, says Nelson is a good player. Some of the better than some of the other players. I wonder why he has hardly featured, James.
No idea, but he's got to play. He's got to play, but also for our fans to put players up on a pedestal who don't really have an awful lot of experience, but their reputation seems to precede them. And as I say, we're just going around in circles at the minute, and we need to break that cycle. In an ideal world, you break that cycle with a new owner coming in with a new ethos and a new attitude, but that's not going to be happening. So we've got to make unpopular decisions. We've got to sell Aubameyang. We've got to be open for offers for Lacazette. You know, you've got to think of the age factors of these players. You know, otherwise we may end up paying off Aubameyang the same way we paid off Ozil. You know, Arsenal had to take out a loan, but remember that £8 million come out of the club accounts in the Mesut Ozil's pocket. But apparently, according to our fans, he was still a world-class player, so it was all worth it.
So, do you honestly think selling Aubameyang wouldn't be popular, James?
I don't think it'll be viewed as popular. I think a lot of fans will have a bit of a meltdown and say, well, why are we selling our best player? He's a legend. He's amazing. He turned it on in an FA Cup final, and good job that he did. Otherwise, there would have been nothing to warrant a contract extension. If you're sent away by AC Milan due to disciplinary reasons, then AC Milan are not silly. And these same disciplinary reasons and disciplinary question mark dogged him at St. in France and Dortmund in Germany. And to turn up late for a North London derby, whether you are in traffic or not, you're the captain of Arsenal Football Club. You would have never have had Adams, Brady, McClintock, Thierry Henry turning up late for a North London derby. It's nonchalance. It's pure nonchalance. I spoke to David Lee, who was a former Chelsea midfielder and a former Arsenal scout, and he said to me the following. He said, it was all going so well at Arsenal. We were loving our time together, doing some great work. It was all going so well until we was all made redundant. And he had just signed a contract extension. So you've got Arsenal fans compiling their lists of who to sign, who to pay big money for, who's got amazing stats. But they won't be able to tell you that the Aubameyang deal that was announced, shortly afterwards, 55 employees were made redundant, including scouts that recently had signed contract extensions. But they won't be able to tell you about that, and they certainly wouldn't be able to recognise such a thing. It's a prime example that the club is not being run properly, and everything runs its natural course. And I just believe we are going to go down and down and down and down until you actually reach rock bottom. And you wonder what it will take for Kroenke to sell. But it reminds me very much of the Hicks and Gillette situation at Liverpool. The situation that we are in reminds me very much of Hicks and Gillette at Liverpool, where they say the right things, they brought players, but Liverpool had to go through the courts to get them out of the club. And I feel we're going to have to do the same, but it's still a long way off.
Right. I don't think, right, Aubameyang is a legend yet. I'm not saying that he's not going to be, but I don't think he's a legend yet. Okay. I think, for me personally, he's still got a lot to prove. For example, if he was going to have a statue outside the Emirates, I would rather there was a Rocky Rocastle statue outside the Emirates. I know he didn't play at the Emirates, okay, but we hold Rocky Rocastle in such high regard, deserved high regard, and how people feel about Rocky Rocastle, he should have a statue outside the Emirates. I'd have a statue of David Rocky Rocastle over Aubameyang any day. All right. Yeah. I'm not, as I said before, I'm not saying that Aubameyang won't become a legend. He hasn't got legend status yet. If we won in Europe, yeah, if we won the Champions League with Aubameyang, then he's legendary. That's my opinion.
Okay, all right. Let me go back in the live chat. David Trower says, the enforcer is so laid back, I need a magnifying glass. Evening, Joseph. I hope you're keeping well. That's a good one. Patrick Kenny, good evening. Even gents, Des referred to me this morning as the armchair manager for questioning Arteta. Most fans will question a lot of his decisions, plus the fact that we're going to finish mid-table. Well, mid-table would have been maybe 7th or 8th, but yeah. Armchair managers, go for it, Des.
Patrick, I wasn't actually pointing it at you, but all I'm saying is there is a lot of people out there who, as I said this morning, I'll repeat what I said, go and earn your badges, yeah, right, and then get your CV together, get your portfolio together, your CV together, and then put in your CVs. And what I meant by that was, we're all armchair managers, but some can accept, and again, this isn't aimed at you, Patrick, but some can accept that there are faults and that there are problems, but some can't. And I meant the armchair managers that get on their orange boxes, right? And I could do a better job. Well, if you could do a better job, go and get your badges, get trained, and let's see what you can do. That's who I was aiming at. Not people in here that are making comments, because comments are just one part of it. It's when people are screaming, I get Arteta out, I could do better. Well, if you could do better, prove it. That's what I meant. But thank you for your comment, Patrick. I appreciate it.
Nice one. There's your brothers in the live chat. Hey, Alex. Hey, Colin.
Evening, Colin.
Ashley D. I think now Cannon Fodder is capable of making a decent donation to the Arsenal coffers. It won't happen. That won't happen.
We don't get enough super chats.
Yeah,
we need more super chats. Or members. You need to become members, guys.
There you go. Yeah. Colin goes on to say, I just bounced in, but I think I'm hearing right. Alba, Luis, Ceballos, the W-man, Bellerin, Holding, Xhaka, Elneny, and Torreira out. Keep only Laka and Partey. Try to sign Erdegaard, then free the children. James. I know
it's a hell of a list. It's a hell of a list, but is it feasible to get that many out? You know, I think we have to sell first and foremost. But first and foremost, when the season ends, just go through the playing squad and loan players with a fine-tooth comb, and keep the best prospects, give them a pathway into the first team before you open that purse. We're just taking out a loan of £120 million. That loan eventually has to be paid back. You know, and that you see people compiling their lists of who to buy, and great players with great stats cost even more money. We will reach the point where we can't afford it sooner rather than later, and you hope that they would be transparent with that. But for me, you know, I'm pretty much saying the same things I said last season, and no doubt I'll be saying them next season as well. But yeah, we just need to go over the first team squad with a fine tooth comb. And if an offer comes in for an Aubameyang, a Lacazette, you've got to start looking at the age of these players as well. They're not spring chickens. They're not going to aid the long-term progression of this football club. So you've got to look at that as well. It's about, I'm not saying to have young spring chickens all over the place, but if you get a good offer for a 31-year-old or for a 29-year-old, or in the case of Partey, I believe he's 27, Partey, in my opinion, was a completely unnecessary signing. Yes, he's a very physical specimen, but 260 grand a week, 45 million, a typical Arsenal signing. No pressure, very vague in terms of character, and not the greatest CV and previous. So a typical Arsenal signing of recent years, really.
Okay, James, here's one here for you from David. James Rowe, if you don't smile right now, then I'm going to send you a Spurs top with your family tree on the back.
How's that?
Could I just say something about Torreira, actually?
Yeah, it is.
Because of what's happened with his family, which is, you know, my heart goes out to him and his family. I think we need to respect his father's request and let him go to Boca. I think it's for the best, really. I mean, even if he came back to Arsenal, there's a communication problem or translation problem. So, yeah, I think we should let Torreira go to Boca. I just think it's fair on his family and himself, to be honest.
Yeah, well said, Des. Well said. I mean, I've said that for the longest time. He seems to be struggling, you know, even at Athletic, only playing 3 games under Diego Simeone.
Yeah.
Whilst Arsenal, he said that he struggled with the language. Just let him go. Let him go. If he wants to go to Boca Juniors, you know, take a hit on the money, the price tag. Just let him go. Let him go. And he's like I say, he lost his mum as well. On compassionate grounds, just let the guy go. Let him go.
Yeah, I agree.
James, you want to say something?
But his transfer fee has not been paid yet.
Yeah.
His transfer fee has not been paid yet in its entirety, and let him go. When he scored that goal in the North London derby, it was everybody. Torreira's one of the greatest players we've ever had, and then they drop him like a bad habit for club and the fans. So these players that are targeted by Arsenal, they see these things, they read these things, and they hear these things, and they think, well, I don't want to be part of that. Like a young player, you know, would you like to sign for Arsenal? Well, no, I don't want to end up like William Saliba. So no, all right, I'll sign for Ajax, or I'll sign for Valencia, or I'll sign for Real Sociedad. You know, everything that we do as a club is being watched and is being seen, and there's so much under the microscope. And yes, Torreira has had a torrid time, and I wish him personally all the very best. But herein lies the problem. Arsenal paid £20 million for him in terms of bonuses and appearances. I doubt that transfer fee has been fully paid yet, but yet Arsenal are willing to take a hit. So it just goes to show that we never seem to learn from the situation we find ourselves in.
Never learn the lesson. I've got Colin again just saying the reason that the young fans want now is because they don't understand the law of the club, not team, nor that legendary status, because that happens. It takes time. Des, I know you're talking about Aubameyang, legendary status. He's not quite there yet. It won't happen for him. It's not going to happen for him. I'm sorry.
Nah.
Arsenal Alex says, we need Arsenal people in charge of Arsenal, not so much business people. Arsenal people taking charge. These are such dark times in our history, James. Such dark times.
Indeed they are. Indeed they are. There's only 2 clubs in England bigger than what we are. Manchester United and Liverpool. and we're being run at the minute as if we are a club which is going through the motions, and something needs to happen. Because I'm based in the Netherlands, and I get people telling me, what is happening to your football club? How on earth can you be 9th, 10th, 11th? What's happening with the players you sign? Do they never learn? And these are people who, not just because of Dennis Bergkamp and also Mark Overmars, but they hold Arsenal in high regard. And we had such high standards, and they are slowly slipping away. Leicester have made more progression than Arsenal. Leicester have made more progression in 5 years than what Arsenal have done in the last decade. And that Leicester were not so long ago a championship team. So if you want to talk about home truths, then look at Leicester. Leicester have won a league title. Okay, it was very unexpected. When are we going to win a league title again? And you look at that team that won the league title, those players such as Albrighton, Vardy, Mahrez, Wes Morgan, Robert Huth. If Arsenal sign those players, it'll be older. They're not good enough to play for Arsenal. But Leicester have achieved something that we're not going to achieve anytime soon. So we need to start swallowing our pride and accepting a few home truths, really.
Guna Matters, welcome back. My friends, says even Alex and the panel, Des and James Rowe.
Evening.
I think this season, most fans would not care if Auba got sold. Des.
No, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't. There's no more I can say. Sell him. In fact, sell him, wrap him in some nice paper and put a bow on him. Do you know what I mean?
There's no mixture words, mate. Just say it like it is.
No. That's how it is. That's how it is. That's how it is. Sell him. In fact, sell him and then buy someone cheaper than what he was. You know what I mean? Just sell him. Swap him. Swap him.
DS says the thing is, if we have a new owner that will spend some money, we can fast track our success. But just throwing money at a situation doesn't always guarantee success. Doesn't always work out that way.
To give an example, look at Leeds United. Look at what the owner's done. Look at what Bielsa's done. That club is unrecognisable from the club it was just 3 seasons ago. And the culture of the club has been changed within 3 seasons, where, you know, even a club that's has a bit of a dodgy reputation is still respected by many neutrals. Because, you know, for the owner to go out and, you know, sign one of the best managers in world football, you know, that spawned the careers of the likes of Guardiola and Simeone, they wouldn't be managers if it was for Marcelo Bielsa. They both went to him to literally get the confidence that they could be managers in their own right. I think Leeds have done an absolutely amazing job to get someone like that. But what is more amazing is an owner coming from outside and showing the gumption and the foresight to go and get a manager of that ilk and for the club to change its culture. And it's something which needs to be applauded.
Yeah. Well, listen, we've come to an end on a Monday afternoon chats, Monday night chats on this one. Before we finish this one, Des, thank you again for doubling up. You was on the morning show, and as of course you just finished doing the evening show with us. Thank you so much, Des, for that.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm very grateful.
It's been a pleasure. And of course, James, very quickly, do you have any up and coming interviews about to be published that you can tell us about?
Yes, today was Rob Jones, formerly of Hibernian and Sheffield Wednesday. Upcoming interviews will include former Nigerian midfielder Sunday Alize, who many fans will know for his World Cup exploits, also played for Borussia Dortmund and Ajax. A former Tottenham striker turned midfielder Paul Stewart, who also played for Liverpool and Sunderland. And also Trevor Steven, who went to 2 World Cups with England and played for Olympique Marseille. So I'm really excited about what's coming up. And always said the next interview is always the most important one. And things are going quite well lately.
Brilliant. So if you wanted to follow James, there's his Twitter handle, James Rowe NL on Twitter. All right, so we're finished. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. sharp, hopefully, to give you some more live news. And make sure you join me for that. But above and beyond that, make sure you join this wonderful community over here. It's not a podcast as such, but it's a wonderful community. And you can see that the live chat has been, the synergy has been like flowing in the live chat there. Des, thank you very much for that.
Cheers.
James also as well. And have a good evening. But those who are watching us now, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification button so you can receive all the latest news. And apart from that, if you've been wondering actually who or what you've been listening to, well, you've been listening to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over